world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you diplomatic perspective every Monday and Friday with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic perspective, the world in front of you.
Hello and welcome to Diplomatic Perspective on Global Television. We are bringing you perspective to different stories from around the world. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Today, I want to tell us something briefly about what's happening in Uganda. That election has come with a lot of ups and downs. But then, who are we blaming in this situation? Do we need to blame anyone? As a matter of fact, from Saturday until now, Uganda has not been the same. Let me bring you a few details from what's happening in Uganda. As a matter of fact, Ugandan opposition leader talking about Bobi Wine said that he had escaped a police raid on his home and was in a hiding as the country braced for the result of a fraught election held under an internet blackout. You'll be wondering, some people might be wondering, why internet blackout? Because some people believe that internet is supposed to facilitate the election process. But then Uganda police denies opposition leader Bobi Wine's arrest. And the Ugandan police denies that opposition leader and presidential candidate Bobi Wine has been arrested, that there was nothing like that, claiming that he remains at his residence in the Wakiso district and that the allegations are untrue and unfounded. According to the police, that says the Katama Rasoke, Ugandan's police spokesperson, made it clear to the people of Uganda and the world that as final results of the elections are awaited, no pressing security threats.
The allegations are being made that Mr. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, who is a presidential candidate, that he has been arrested and taken to, you can have this phone, and that he has been taken to an unknown location. Some of these allegations are being paraded by his family members. What I would like to say is these are deceitful and insightful allegations intended to depict the security agencies of Uganda as brutal and violators of rights of a political candidate. They are untrue and unfounded. Mr. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is at his home in Magere in Wakiso district. If we were to arrest him as security agencies or police in particular, we would make it known and the reasons for his arrest. Mr. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, as far as I'm informed, he's not under arrest.
But then, according to the information coming from Uganda in the first place have someone who is coming back, returning to power, and he has been in power for a very long time. But it is common in Africa. All right, not just Uganda alone, but we all know the story of Uganda. You can remember the Idi Amin, of Uganda back in the days. But then, moving away from there, let's also let you know that a lot of African leaders, sometimes when they get into office, they don't want to leave. But then, we can listen to what an eyewitness is about saying concerning Bobi Wine. Because he was put under a house arrest. And when the people came, when there was a suspicion that he was about to be arrested, he go hiding. He just need to take to his heels. But then, is this proper? Is this the right thing to be done? If you ask me, I will say it's not right. There should be an opposition, because in a country where there is no opposition, things seems to be up and down, all right? But then I think it is so good that Africa is rising to the occasion. In some countries, all right, we have countries where the leaders, if their time in office expires after their tenure, they step down and allow another person to come in. Birth, with what is happening to Bobi Wine right now, he's a musician and he is loved by the people. The people loves him, all right? And he's got a massive support. But then, can you ever take power, all right, out of this political leaders who have been there for a very long time? Some persons will tell you, well, when it comes to politics, when it comes to presidential positions, it's not for the boys. Who are the boys? Is it all about age or about capacity? You can see the massive crowd behind Bobi Wine in Uganda. But despite that, sometimes it's not all about what people say, but when you get to the booth, you vote, you cast your vote. Casting the vote sometimes is not even the end of the whole situation, but then the process being free and fair. You can see reactions, you can see what people are saying about, first of all, the election being mad, all right? Election being conducted in blackout without internet and all of that, it's not a good process. Then the issue of his arrest, most oppositions, I don't want to say this, but I think I'm going to liken it to what is happening in Venezuela, where prisoners, all right, after Maduro's arrest, prisoners were released. And among these prisoners are people who are political prisoners, people who contested with him, and of course are oppositions. Some of them were in prison. We saw the kind of joy that happened there. Is it the same thing? It is a speculation anyway for that of Uganda, because the police spokesperson came out to say nothing like that actually happened. All right.
Last night, around 9 p.m., we received a call from the wife and to the effect that they were breaking into the house. We also spoke to another member of the household who told us he was in hiding in the compound, but they were breaking into the house. After that, their numbers went off. So we are not able to verify the claims by police, and we have challenged them. If he's at his residence and fine, they should allow media to access him. They should allow the leadership of the party to access him. But because they know that they are telling lies, they would rather control the narrative and spread their propaganda without anybody being allowed to interact with him and challenge their story. The process is tainted by fraud. We, from the onset, were supposed to, on the 15th, the citizens of Uganda woke up to go and participate in a process they hoped would be guided by technology, the BVVK, on which the people of Uganda spent a lot of money, billions of money to procure. Unfortunately, we arrived, and about 8 hours later, that's when voting commenced, meaning that very many Ugandans were denied a chance to participate in the process. Not only there, we were also shocked to learn that we are not going to rely on technology, but to rely on the manual register, which manual register we had already pointed out. It had a lot of multiple entries, and we were given assurance that the technology would help eliminate the possibility of multiple voting, the possibility of impersonation, the possibility of ballot stuffing, because those are the challenges that have always undermined our electoral processes. As a result, there was multiple voting at different polling stations. There was ballot stuffing at different polling stations. There was impersonation, where people come and vote in the name of others at different polling stations. All these undermine the integrity of the process and go a long way to confirm that this ordinarily legitimate process has been reduced into a fraudulent affair that is only aimed at presenting to the people of Uganda preconceived results that do not reflect their will. Well, throughout the campaign, we have emphasized that to the people of Uganda that they have rights under the Constitution, which include protesting peacefully and lawfully in challenging the attempt by the Electoral Commission and the NRM to subvert their will. And we believe that they will go ahead to exercise that right. Regarding the position of what the party will do, as and when we get an opportunity to interact with our candidate, we'll be able to inform the world what the appropriate next. So as it sounds, the party.
Moving away from there, you already heard that the election already has been conducted and the winner already is known. A delegation of 11 members of the U.S. Congress also hold a press conference to reassure NATO allies and show their support for Denmark. That's another story now. A loyal and trustworthy ally and partner for 225 years. And he said there is no immediate threat to Greenland's security, says Chris Cohn. The Democrat senator leading the delegation is the one who said that. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people have actually said so many things about the situation. But then the situation is something that so many people have reacted to. But this reaction is not coming wholeheartedly. And all of these are things that a lot of people have actually looked at as something that is not really fair to the people.
Denmark. The conversations we've had have reinforced a few simple points. One is that for 225 years, the United States has been blessed to have a good and loyal and trusted ally and partner in the Kingdom of Denmark. Observations. There are no pressing security threats to Greenland, but we share real concern about Arctic security going forward. As the climate changes, as the sea ice retreats, as shipping routes change, there are legitimate reasons for us to explore ways to invest better in Arctic security broadly, both in the American Arctic and in our NATO partners and allies. Second is the common commitment to peace and to freedom. As an original NATO ally, Denmark has been a tremendous partner for us in security, and that relationship is rooted in deeply shared values, values of democracy, of self-determination, and of respect for territorial integrity. The conversation, as it has been repeatedly over the years, that if the United States seeks to invest in partnership respectfully with the people of Greenland in accessing possibly newly available critical minerals or rare earths, that would be welcome. And that in partnership with the Kingdom of Denmark, if we wish to increase our investments in Arctic security, that would be welcome. But the challenge here is for that to be done in a way that is deeply respectful of Danish sovereignty and of our NATO alliance.
Right now, we will go on a quick break. After this break, we will be joined by our correspondent from the United Kingdom, who is going to be bringing us some updates from other parts of the globe too. Michael Deacon will be joining us, bringing us some updates from the United Kingdom on diplomatic perspective. After this break, we'll get connected, we'll get hooked up with Michael Deacon. Let's go on a quick break. Diplomatic Perspective returns after this timeout.
The world is fast changing and news breaks at lightning speed. Let us guide you through events and stories about global narratives and developments in geopolitics, diplomacy, foreign affairs, and world economy. Get factual and multi-angle perspectives on stories around the globe. Global Television brings you Diplomatic Perspective every Monday and Friday with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Diplomatic Perspective, the world in front of you.
Many thanks, Ramsey, and a wonderful evening to our dear viewers. There's been a lot of reactions around the world, but let's begin from what is happening within Europe and the US. Now, the Europe does not speak most often with a lot of urgency, but this time the US President Donald Trump has announced that there will be a lot of sanctions against several European countries that reject any US claim to the Greenland, a Danish territory, which was one of those moments that has led to European countries speaking. Now, across the continent, among allies that usually tread carefully in responding to the utterances from the White House. Now, this time, the response has been immediate, emphatic, and recognized an essential trait to the transatlantic alliance. Now, 8 countries, including the United Kingdom, Germany, and France, has issued a joint statement. And they are saying that tariff trades undermine transatlantic relations and risks a dangerous downward spiral, according to them. They will continue to stand united and coordinated in their response. Now, French President Emmanuel Macron, who has tried to cultivate a good personal relationship with Donald Trump, has actually led this charge and has described the trade of tariff as unacceptable. According to Macron, is saying that this is not acceptable, neither Ukraine nor Greenland nor anywhere else in the world when being confronted with such situations. He said, adding that Europeans will respond in a united and coordinated manner should they be confirmed. Now, what we ensure that European sovereignty is upheld, that is coming from Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. Now, moving over to the Canada and Prime Minister, which has actually recently visited China. They've announced a lower tariff, signaling a reset in their country's relationship after key moment in Beijing. Now, China is expected to lower levies of Canadian canola oil from 85% to 15% by March. This has actually led to a lot of favored nations rate about 6.1 deals. Now, these deals break through after years of strained ties. Recall a tit-for-tat levies, which has actually been a back-and-forth situation between Canada and China. Now, the first Canadian leader to visit China has been what we've just witnessed. Now, that's been officials of the administration of United States President Donald Trump, which has said that Canada will regret their decision to allow the import of up to 49,000 Chinese EFs and that those cars will not be allowed to enter the U.S. According to the U.S., they will look back at the decision and surely regretted bringing Chinese cars into the market. According to the U.S. Transportation Secretary, he said this based on the recent visit of the Canadian Prime Minister to China. But a lot of persons are really looking at that statement, recalling a lot of concerns back and forth between the relations. Now, what really shocked around the world is that Venezuelan opposition leader Machado has handed a Nobel Peace Prize medal to President Trump at the White House and has actually framed it as an acknowledgement of his dedication to Venezuela's liberation. Now, this move has led sparked a lot of concerns in the complex political dynamics at play in Venezuela and the United States' role in the country's future. Now, some have said that the gesture is not just a personal endorsement, but it's also a strategic one to solidify the U.S. support for our cause by presenting the medal. She's also looking at recognizing and perhaps amplifying Trump's commitment to a vision of a free Venezuela. But the committee has said that this award is not transferable. They have also looked at the nature of the acts done by the opposition leader to Trump. But despite this, Trump has actually remains very steady. While he acknowledges he has struggles and calls her a wonderful woman, he has not also endorsed her as the Venezuelan's new leader, but instead he has been engaging with Delcy, the acting head of the state. And now this cautious approach have actually led a lot of suggestions, strategic balancing support for a democratic deals with pragmatic diplomatic considerations. And now these situations is looking more complicated, and this has also led to a lot of reactions around the world. Hello viewers, but before we continue to delve into the interactions about the Greenland, the state of the Greenland, of the position of the recent position of the European Union, the consideration of the factors and the comments made by Donald Trump in respect to the position of the Greenland, which is actually sparking a lot of debate. Let's now bring you some of the major highlights across the week and of course the major headlines. And once we're back, we'll be making a total description of what the Greenlands look like, the new interest and the recent interest by the US, and now that the European countries are teaming up, all the countries, European countries are now teaming up to stand, backing the position and saying that, no, we can't just come into a next Greenland, you can't take over Greenland, it's not a transferable land, according to what all of them are actually joining in one voice to speak. Let's get to go on that very wonderful break, and once we're back, we'll be bringing you the major stories around the world. Stick with us. I'll be right back.
Hello, here's a quick rundown of this week's highlight. This week, African football reached a historic milestone as AFCON 2025 records its highest revenues ever. According to the Confederation of African Football, earnings rose by more than 90%, marking a major commercial breakthrough for the tournament. Meanwhile, tensions remain high in the Middle East as United Nations forces report after a drone attack. The Israeli strikes Q2 in Lebanon in the latest violation of a ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah. In America, Maria Corina, Venezuela's opposition leader, gives US President Trump her Nobel medal during a White House meeting in the bid to influence his efforts to shape her country's political future. Elsewhere, trade relations shifted significantly as Canada agrees to cut its 100% tariff on Chinese electric cars in return for lower tariffs on Canadian farm products from 84% to about 15%. Over in South Korea, ex-President Yoon Suk-yeol has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for obstructing attempts by authorities to arrest him following his failed bid to impose martial law in December 2024. Turning back to the Middle East, the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire has begun, but talks remain fragile. The United States is pushing for Hamas to disarm alongside the withdrawal of Israeli forces, which remains one of the most contentious points with no agreement yet reached. Finally, in Eastern Europe, the humanitarian toll of war continues to grow. Children and families in Ukraine face dangerous freezing temperatures amid ongoing power outages caused by the Russian strikes on energy infrastructure.
Welcome back. And now, a lot of issues are fascinating stories about the topic about Europe and the United States. Now had loggerheads has continued to spark a lot of concern based on the recent announcement by President Trump regarding Greenland, the Danish territory. It's, of course, has actually led to a lot of political debates concerning the really situations surrounding these locations and territory.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
But let's give a background of Greenland and what it all means. Now, Greenland is the world's largest island located between the Arctic and Atlantic Ocean. Now, the territory of Denmark, but with a significant degree of autonomy. Some of us ask, why is this suddenly in the spotlight? Now, this island is rich in natural resources, including the rare minerals and potential oil reserves, making it a strategic asset in the context of global warming and changing shipping routes. But what does it mean for U.S. to really claim about the interest in the Greenland? Now, the U.S. positions are now saying that their stance, according to Trump, is that there will be sanctions against any other countries rejecting the U.S. Claims, especially the European countries, which, according to them, is actually been at loggerheads with them. And the U.S., however, the method of sanctioning allies has been a lot of reactions. What could be the implication of the move? It raises questions about the sovereignty, question about made it so clear this time they're coming out very swift and united in their reactions, counter reactions to Donald Trump's position of Greenland in Denmark. Now, where there have been talk of it, it looks that the situation is not just about Greenland. It's also about shifting dynamics of the global power. Recent China and Canada relations have also still a lot of concern as well, in which is looking at the agreement between China and Canada has actually marked a significant turnaround after a lot of years of tension. Now, it looks that it's also a reminder that while some nations are at odds, others are finding ways to collaborate for the future. It also suggests that diplomacy is still alive, but it's also evolving in a lot of expected ways, and that is some of the development coming right here around the world. A lot of stories, a lot of reactions. We are keeping our eyes on watching some of the biggest stories, and of course, bringing you to speed to that. And I get back to the studio. Over to you, Ramsey.
Thank you very much for joining us on Diplomatic Perspective. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.